What is going on, IK fam? And I'm back again today for another dope video, and I'm pretty excited. And please excuse the lower than usual tone as well. I just got my wisdom teeth pulled 2 days ago, so I'm gonna try and keep it consistent with the decibel level, if y'all don't mind. Now, of course, before we get started talking about our patch 1.2 notes review and feedback, which this is a great update in my opinion. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, sub to the channel, give us a thumbs up. Of course, hit that notification bell to get updates on when we have new videos going live, usually Monday through Friday. And then, of course, in the description down below, you'll find official Infinity Kingdom resources if you guys want to join my Discord server along with our Jumper project. And then, of course, if you're looking to check the game out, there's a creator support link that you can use for Android or iOS. Now, let's dive into it. For this recent update, there is a lot to unpack, and I think overall, despite maybe a couple questionable things, which we will talk about and dive into, this is a big win. And let's start off first with the highlights for the new politic, or I'll just say political system. Where you're going to tap the building opposite the wall. Basically what they've done as a summary is that instead of, for example, let me pop this up because that would be great so we're not just looking at blank screens. Instead of you going to a city, let's say, and you clicking this, and this is a city you own, right, which is how it is currently, where you have to click mayor and then you actually have to click to assign someone. You now basically have a one-stop shop for doing it in kind of an overview screen. So this is great, right? It says alliance leaders can allocate official posts of occupied cities on this panel. So this is a vast improvement, and it's going to help speed this up, especially when official posts time out and you need to reassign. Upgrading the King's Power will be far more formidable. We talked about this in our teaser video, where you have integrations that are happening for you being able to have official posts. You can do orders. Previous kings will get integrated. You can access a king system by tapping the king button in the upper right corner of Contention or Relics panel or on the World Heart panel. So this is pretty exciting. Rewards, the king can allocate rewards from the king panel to honor allied lords for their outstanding. Now this is to honor allied lords. So remember what we were thinking about in the previous videos. We weren't sure if it was just going to be rewards that you can give out to your alliance, or if you're going to be able to give out rewards to anyone within your faction. Now, personally, I think it would be really cool if they eventually expanded this. If it is not that when it releases, so you can give those rewards to players that are in your faction. And it's not just limited to your alliance, but I can understand if that's where they're starting it out on. And I think it's okay as well. It just would be nice if, let's say you have a number 2 or a number 3 alliance that puts in a lot of work, for example, and, maybe they're top of the honor point boards, and they helped push your faction to an overall win because they were big contributors, right? I think that would be worthy of giving someone a reward to as well. Control. The king can now set migration restrictions and power restrictions to influence the server's balance. We showed this off in our previous video where we talked about the ability, and let me see if I can pop this up just while we're in the middle of talking as well, is that you're now going to be able to set the migration limits, which is absolutely fantastic. They're going to have it at 4 tiers. There's going to be no limit, 1 mil, 1.5, and 2 mil. Then you have the punishment, which the king can appoint players to negative official posts such as Treacher, Clown, Herdman, Servant, and Sweeper. These are some fun names. And they'll come with respective debuffs. These will be great if you want to hand these out to players that are just, ill intenders, if you will, right? If they're rogue players, if they're just doing their own thing and they're not really on board for the big picture, depending on what your server is doing, then this is a good way to at least have some support options and tools to enforce those things. Now, let's talk about Forbidden Zone contracts. I actually think this is probably one of the best things in this current update, and let me explain why. The way that the current from the kind of hotfix notes that I know most people mention, we didn't really get an update on. It obviously would have been nice if we did. I'm always a fan that even if you're going to do small updates or hotfixes, at least take advantage of the current hotfix option area that you have so we can get notified of those things. Right? There's nothing worse than your community being blindsided by updates that were not publicly disclosed. And let me just give an example, right? This is where you get those little things in this little, I don't know if I want to call this a veranda or something like that, but this is the bulletin. And this is where you see things like hotfix contents, right? Or if they have update notices, brief things that happen. Just take advantage of this, right? That's probably the one biggest piece of advice, and I might make a separate video on this as well, but if you're a developer for a game, right, it doesn't matter if the update is going to be perceived well or not, but not posting any information about an update is even worse. So that's the one pro tip I would give out, and just a strong recommendation is that no information is not a good look, and it's always good to put out the information regardless of how you think it's going to be perceived, because that just gives us something actionable to go off of. And now let me get here. This is why I think Forbidden Zone contracts are fantastic, is because the way that it currently is set up, after my brief mini rant there, is they changed it from there being, hundreds of special tiles that would pop up during contention of relics in the Forbidden Zone, the middle of the map. And these special tiles, as you know, you can gather them, and the faction that wins the event has access to get more than just the resources, the general gathering resources. You can get gold, you can get gems, you can get speed ups. It is extremely valuable. But after the hotfix they did, it now made it to where they updated it where now the amount of special tiles that will spawn is dependent on the overall activity and contribution of players during the event, and that's across all three factions. So you might be thinking to yourself now, as I once did, why would the factions that would be placing number 2 and 3 keep playing or keep contributing as much to the event when they get to a point where they just know their faction's not going to win? There's no really individual awards they can get, so to speak, outside of gathering tiles, outside of maybe hitting some chaos beasts here and there, and then of course the kill event, or at least whenever your kingdom does kill event, or server does. How we did in S8, which I thought was great, is we had the first 2 days that were kind of free farming, and you could do tiles, chaos beasts, and then on the 3rd day of COR, it was just a free-for-all, right? And we did that because we wanted to allow people the opportunity to get honor. Anyways, I liked it that way, and I think with this update, it is a big win, because now with them adding in little basically individual, as they call them, contracts, right? But accolades that you can now complete, not only for your alliance, but for as an individual. This is going to increase the overall amount of players that are going to be active during contention of relics. Therefore, meaning that there are going to be more special tiles for each faction or each COR round, instead of there being a lower amount. So I think this is a ginormous win, especially because we know COR automatically starts up again on a cycle state, where it's back-to-back after your round 3 finishes from your Chronicle. Gosh, I want to say it's 20. Let me double-check that so I can provide. It is 20. Great. And now let's move down. So lots of new technologies. Again, I think this is a big win, probably the second biggest thing in the update, in my opinion, which is that now they're just adding more tech that you can research. Nothing wrong with that. I actually like the way they're doing this too as well, where they're kind of focusing a little bit more on the actual troop types. And then I like how they kind of are adding in like a special research thing for each of the troop types, which is really cool, right? So you now have Shieldman with the chance of blocking enemies' normal attack, Spearman normal types have a chance of sweeping an enemy row, Cavalry normal types have a chance of stunning the target for 3 seconds, normal types have a chance of attacking the enemy 2 times, right? I think these are awesome additions, and I think some of these can even pair well with some of the element compositions, and even some immortal compositions if you want to mix and match. Now let's talk about optimizations. Tower of Knowledge, right? This is where some of these things are going to start getting interesting. So deployed immortal recommendations have been added. I think this is great, right? Because now you can see for which immortals they're recommending certain Tower of Knowledge skills. I haven't gone through this myself, so again, I can't really overly comment on it. But I do think anytime they're adding in tooltips or more recommended information is a great thing. Territory emojis. Now more convenient with a wider applicability. Just tap and hold your territory on the world map to bring up emojis. I'm always a big fan of emojis. I think they're absolutely hilarious, especially during war times or fighting, where people are just constantly spamming them, and it is a good time. Mysterium. Tap the chest icon on the top right of Mysterium panel to view all the rewards you've obtained. This is awesome because I think this will allow for people to kind of gauge value throughout your Mysterium runs, and probably be able to put together maybe more well-routed paths through it, because they'll be able to kind of gauge what their return on investment is from rewards. Coordinates bookmarks. The bookmarks page will remember which bookmark you viewed last. When you open bookmarks again during the same session, it will automatically skip the last few coordinates bookmark. This is, I think, a win, though I don't really use the bookmarks too much myself, or at least, well, I guess it just depends. Alliance bookmarks, yeah. Personal bookmarks, not too much, but I'm sure depending on the events that come up, probably will. So again, I think this is definitely a win itself. Official post avatar frames. We've added post avatar frames to the city. Awesome. Always happy to flex and show my face off along with my kid. Resource sites. To increase the fairness of resource gathering, we have made a resource site refresh times more evenly distributed, so players from all time zones have the opportunity to gather the newest resource. This seems to me like a big win. Arguably maybe the third or fourth biggest thing in the update, give or take, or somewhere close to that. But this is great. I think anytime you're improving the quality of life for players all around the world, you can never go wrong there. Marching skins. When a lord using Dark Fortress or Forbidden Zone Sovereign territory decoration is marching, their marching troops will also have a gorgeous cosmetic effect. Shoutouts to my boy Jojo, my boy Shadow, who obviously have those, along with Andromeda, and anyone else that has these skins. That's cool. I love how they're just adding, some more visual benefits for players that have purchased certain things, but they're doing it in other ways outside of just the city, so this is cool. Alliance Pack. Claim Suit has been increased. We've seen this as well. But again, it looks like they're going to make it a little bit faster, so awesome if maybe they're going to add like a claim all, if that is the case, or something else. Translations for various languages have been improved, so players of different languages can enjoy Norham as it was intended. The one thing I will say about this game that I really enjoy, and I want to give a shout out to these people too, because there are a lot of people that go on to the translation issues channel, and I want to show that off real quick, because like all these people here, Irito, Jesse Lucifer, I Get the Cheeks, Cavalier, Halafa, Raziel, Nansky, Stormfrost, let me see, Sono, Jeremy, Revshawn, let's see, I want to shout out a few more people here. Griffin X, let me go up here. What is it? Minger, TK, right? Just anyone who goes here to the translation issues, you guys are what I like to refer to as the silent heroes. It's such a big thing in the game, and I think sometimes it's a little bit taken for granted by the work that other people put in other areas within our community for Infinity Kingdom that are improving the overall experience, right? I mean, you have to think about like the big implications of improving your translation system. Is that, let's say you get into a server and you are working hard at trying to unify that server, but you have some alliance leaders that do not speak your native language. The translation system is essentially your bridge in order to try and communicate with these other alliance leaders to try and get on the same page, or to settle disputes, or just to have a communication dialogue with people. So again, shout out to the people that post in translation issues. I see you, and you're awesome like a possum. Let's go into fortifications. Manufacturing capacity and shooting capacity added. Fortifications are now more effective in battles. This, I think, is a plus for sure. It actually makes it to where having additional accounts could maybe be a little more worth it now, especially if you're just front loading fortifications on them like farms. So I'm curious to see how this is going to be worked out, if people are really going to figure a way to kind of utilize this in maybe a more diverse way than just kind of having a general farm account, or maybe if fortifications might be something on the research side of the academy that you might consider doing earlier rather than later. So we'll see. Now the balance adjustments, right? This is going to be the last big thing here, which is Chronicle. To balance development progress between servers, time restrictions have been added to Chronicle events. Events cannot be unlocked unless the required time has been reached. Countdown timers will be displayed in the middle of the events panel. Cities on the world map will also be gradually made available for occupation based on Chronicle progress. The max city construction level will also be determined by the Chronicle progress. Already occupied cities will not be taken back, and they've also removed secondary objectives from Chronicles 1 through 3. So, what does this mean? What I take away from this is that they could be setting a base timeline down, and this could be something that maybe affects jumpers. We'll have to see. Once the update hits, by then going into the newest server and testing this out, because if they're putting timeline or time restrictions on how long Chronicle 1 will last for, Chronicle 2 will last for, and then how long Chronicle 3 will last for, right, then that could delay the time that jumpers could go into a new server. So we'll have to see what the impact is going to be there. I don't really think anything else is really a big thing. I think it is just going to depend on how much longer would it take to actually complete the first Chronicle. Now, I want to say that I personally don't see a problem with the way they had it before. I actually thought the way they had it before was fine. Now, if they're doing this to potentially combat jumpers or something like that, then I think those are things that need to be kind of publicly stated, and there's no problem with that. This is something that other games have done as well, or they've kind of put restrictions in to help with that. And though in hindsight, right, I am doing a jump project, it doesn't affect me at the end of the day, because, like I said, if they're trying to put this in for the betterment of the game, then that's fine. But if it's something that might affect, like, how soon you'll be able to access contention or relics, right, then I'm iffy on that, because I don't think there's a problem with trying to progress Chronicle to push contention or relics 1, 2, and 3 to maybe where you can hit them back to back, because it'll just start the auto COR event rotation that much sooner, which means more players are going to be able to get faster rotations on getting gold and special tiles depending on how your server is set up, right? So that's one way I look at it. The other one is like the max city construction level will also be determined by Chronicle progress, right? So this could be delayed. This could delay how soon you can upgrade a city to its next level, right? Which, in short, slows down overall progression, right? And if that's what they're trying to do, so they can make the game and the server's timeline or Chronicle event timeline take longer, then that's fine, right? But just come out and say that. Now, let's talk about training grounds. To protect passive defenders, we have reduced the troop casualty rate of training grounds when defending. This, in my opinion, is a big win, because this just means that hopefully it's going to be less... I guess it depends what this means. I don't know if this is going to mean less dead, or if this is just going to mean less minor and then less severely wounded troops that you'll take, right? So you'll just have less costs and less, and hopefully, you know, shorter batches of overall healing. Regardless, I still think it's a win. Shadow Dragon skills, the target of breath has been changed from enemy unit with the lowest physical defense to a random enemy unit. So cool. And then we just basically have some buffs and some debuffs here, right? You have Fighting Will, TOK skills, right? Is basically got a buff, plus root duration goes to 6 seconds. Rage, crit rate percentage on this skill, basically lowered to 15% at the lowest max level. Agile got a debuff from 25 to 15% max. Precision got a debuff from 25% max to 15% max. And then Penance got a debuff from resilience percentage 25 to 15%. Lifelink got a debuff from trigger 60% to 50%, and then the shared damage got a debuff from 60 at the total, and then also from, and then going down to 50% as well. Now, after the update, you're going to see Rage, Agile, Precision, Penance, and Lifelink will be reset, and then you're going to basically get a refund on your Soul Crystals. The very last thing we'll talk about is just the Academy tech, and this tracks greatly increase the strength of each troop type. Hence, basically, they're just going to be remodifying the technology, so they'll be doing some rebalancing in the Academy tech, so you might be noticing some changes there. Outside of that, guys, that's pretty much it for me on this update. Like I said, I really think that this overall update is a big win. Again, there are a couple questionable items that just need to be further tested because there wasn't any additional language that was provided to really give a further explanation. But outside of that, I'm really happy with the 1.2 notes and more of kind of a quality of life update, along with, again, some new features. Like I said, man, the next biggest thing I'm really hoping for is just that server-wide mail that you can send out from the King options. I'm hoping that with what we saw here, where you see the two leftover things, that we're going to see like a server mail option and maybe something else. But I still think that overall it's a big win. I'm excited to see it when it finally hits live, and then probably to do another review video afterward to kind of see some of the after effects weeks after. Now, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace it.